Interesting book to start. What the hell is the TBR telling me? Ask and you shall receive. I want to put this one back. Okay, TBR jar, do you hear that? Hey guys, welcome. Today we're gonna be setting our June TBR. And this month is very exciting because we're going to have our TBR jar pick our books for the month. If you can't believe it, there's actually over 60 books listed in this jar. I just chose to use the smallest print ever whenever printing this. That's gonna have to be an adjustment for next month. How I determined what to include in the jar is I just went on my Goodreads profile and copy and pasted the list of my want to read books. Overall, for the most part, I kept almost everything on that list. So there is quite a bit of variety and things beyond just typical summer reads. There's a ton of fantasy, a good bit of nonfiction, and then a ton of romances as well. So my hope is that we're able to get a pretty diversified TBR. I can't decide whether I want to do 8 books or 10. I guess we'll kind of see what the jar picks. I know for sure of 2 books I want to read this month specifically. So if the other books included in this TBR are really long, or maybe I think will be a little bit more mentally draining than others, maybe we'll stick to 8. But if it chooses easy books for me, maybe we'll go up to 10. But that's enough talking. Let's let the TBR do its magic. Gonna get it nice and mixed up here. And let's see what happens. First book, here she is. Interesting book to start. Okay, I believe we're starting with a nonfiction here, and I think my mom gave me this book forever ago. It's called Feelings Buried Alive Never Die, and I actually do have the physical of this upstairs. In all honesty, I don't know a ton about this book because I haven't ever been inclined to pick this up before, so this is definitely getting me outside of my comfort zone a little bit. Let's go ahead and pull it up on Goodreads and see what it has to say. Not a lot of reviews on this. There's only 1,500 ratings, which is pretty low. Looking at the genres, it says self-help, health, nonfiction, psychology, spirituality, mental health. Carol Truman has brought together in one book the best of the best. She not only tells you why you feel the way you feel, but how these feelings all started. She then goes on to tell you how you can easily transform undesirable feelings so that they no longer hinder your growth. What a gift. Okay, I mean, that description doesn't sound too bad. My mom probably gifted me this whenever I was going through my major self-help phase. There was a solid 2 years where self-help books were like the only books I read, and then I got myself so burnt out on the genre. I don't remember it being overly long either, so Goodreads has it listed at 307 pages. Not terrible, not the best. Typically, I only choose 1 to 2 nonfictions per month just because they're not as entertaining to read. Since we're starting off the month with this, I hope the TBR jar isn't trying to have me do a bunch of nonfiction. But let's keep going. Ooh, we kind of have 2 here. I'm gonna go with this one. Guys, it's another nonfiction self-help book. I wanna put this one back. What the hell is the TBR telling me? Clearly, I really need some self-development this month. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is Self-Compassion, the Proven Power of Being Kind to Yourself. This is another book that I have the physical of, and my therapist actually recommended this to me years ago. I think I bought this right whenever COVID started. I believe my therapist mentioned this one as well as Brené Brown's The Gifts of Imperfections. Both of these were recommended together because I think they go over a lot of the same ideas. Self-compassion, giving yourself the opportunity that you don't have to be perfect, which is a lesson I need to learn. I didn't know I needed to learn it this badly, but apparently I do. If we get another nonfiction for this month, I'm putting it back. Okay, TBR jar, do you hear that? Ooh, okay. This is a fantasy, and it's One for My Enemy by Olivie Blake. I don't have this book yet, but I'm excited to read it. This is a fantasy where it's a Romeo and Juliet retelling, but both of the families are vampires, and it's set in current day New York City. So a couple fun things going on. I wasn't overly like the biggest Romeo and Juliet fan growing up as a kid, but I remember studying it in school and thinking it was one of the more interesting stories that we had to learn about. So I'm excited to see how the vampire element will come into play with that, because I do love vampires in books, and I think this will be a fun take on this story that's been told so many different ways. Book number 4. Okay, it looks like this is another fantasy, and this one's on Kindle Unlimited. It's called The Lost and the Chosen by Ivy Asher. At some point I put this on my want to read, but I don't really remember too much about it. Let me go ahead and look this one up really quick. Pretty high Goodreads ratings. It's 4.32 for its average rating. And based off the cover, I would almost think this is like a dark romance. The genres are reverse harem, fantasy, paranormal, romance, magic, vampires. Okay, typically whenever it says reverse harem, things are pretty spicy. And the bottom of this says, this book is a medium burn reverse harem story intended for ages 18 years and older. This story contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. Okay, so that answers that question. This book description says, my name is Vina, and I've been keeping a lot of secrets. You would too if you've experienced some of the weird shit I have. Red-eyed monsters chasing me, markings on my body appearing out of nowhere, a strange power that crackles colorfully over my skin from time to time, and don't get me started on the weapons I can conjure up almost out of nowhere. Lucky for me, I've yet to meet someone whose ass I couldn't kick inside the ring or out. I put that to the test when I run headfirst into a fight that brings all of my secrets and reality as I know it crashing down around me. So it seems like we're going to be following this girl as she's actually learning her powers and getting introduced to this magical world. I like that it's on Kindle Unlimited, so far we're only having to buy one book this month, and I love to see that. Let's keep going. Ooh, another fantasy which I'm so excited to read, Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I've really been wanting to read this because I know Sarah Caroli absolutely loves this book. And this was Lauren Roberts' debut novel, and with how well received it's been with the book community, I'd say that's pretty impressive. I know people have said that there's almost like a Hunger Games element to this book, and I believe that's because the elites rule the kingdom, and every year or every couple of years they host this games with some of like the most powerful people, you know, may the best man or woman win. However, our main girl actually doesn't have magic, she just pretends to have magic, and she gets selected in this game where she has to battle all of these people who do have magical abilities. I'm sure I just explained that terribly wrong, and there's going to be so much more that happens, but the genres this is listed as is fantasy, romance, and young adult. I don't think this one is spicy as maybe that other fantasy was, but overall I am very excited for this one because I've heard truly amazing things. So that takes us to 2 nonfiction and 3 fantasy. This rate I am getting a little bit scared and thinking probably we should stick with 8 books. Let's keep going. I'm thinking we need a romance right about now. Ask and you shall receive. We have Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher, which is another Kindle Unlimited book. And this is the first book in the Lakefront Billionaire series. I believe she's bringing out book 2 either within June or within this summer. So if I like it, I can continue it on here shortly. I did read Lauren Asher's previous series of the Dreamland Billionaires. I did enjoy the first book a good bit. I felt like book 2 in that series was a bit repetitive, and by the 3rd I felt like it was very repetitive, but the spice scenes that she does are pretty good, and overall I enjoyed her writing. I think they're very easy to read. From what I found is you can get through her books very quickly. I do know that this book is pretty long for a romance. I believe this is over 500 pages, which I would say for a romance to be over 500 pages, that's pretty extreme, so we'll see if I feel like this one drags. Overall, I'm pretty sure this book is received pretty positively. Let's get a good shake going on here before we grab book number 7. Ooh, okay. I think this is another fantasy, and this is The Ministry of Time by Kaliane Bradley. Not exactly sure how to say their first name. I included this on my want to read after Haley Pham raved about this book. The main thing I know about this one is that it is a time travel romance, and I'm not sure I've ever read a time travel romance. I know that's one of Haley Pham's most favorite tropes, but it isn't done too often, so I'm excited to kind of read something new, a new trope that I haven't been exposed to yet. Okay, I think we have to call it at 8 because 4 fantasy, 2 nonfiction, 1 romance. This is going to be quite the month. Let's see how we're gonna round it out. I'll try and let you guys see it first before I see it. Oh, okay. We have The Fake Out by Stephanie Archer. I just read the first book in this series last month. which was called Behind the Net. It's the Vancouver Storm series. Another KU book. This is a hockey romance. And the first book, Behind the Net, was my first exposure to hockey romance. I rated it a 3 stars. I felt like the writing was a little bit cringy, but I did read that first book so fast. So if I ever feel slumpy at all this month, this will be a good one to have in my back pocket, because I'm pretty sure Behind the Net I read in 2 days. Compared to the first book, we're following the main girl's sister and another guy on the hockey team. We really needed that one. We needed a short romance to help get this month back on track. So it looks like I only need to buy 3 books this month, and it's all part of the fantasy group. One for My Enemy, Powerless, and then The Ministry of Time. Since I've heard such great things about all of them, I think I will buy them all in the physical copy, not get them on my Kindle. Then we have actually 3 Kindle Unlimited books, which is The Lost and the Chosen, The Fake Out, and Love Redesigned. And then the 2 physicals that I already have were the 2 nonfiction books, which is Feelings Buried Alive Never Die and Self-Compassion. Let's go ahead and grab those books, as well as the 2 other books that I want to read this month. Okay, so taking a quick look at my bookshelf here. Here is where I keep all my physical TBR. Here is Feelings Buried Alive Never Die and Self-Compassion. Now the other books I for sure want to read this month. I absolutely have to finish out the ACOTAR series. So this is probably going to be one of the first books I read this month. And for my work, I set the goal of reading this last month, which I did not achieve. This is another nonfiction book, so we will have 3 in total for the month, but luckily this one is mega short. So I need to prioritize this very early in the month as well, just so I can go ahead and check this off of my to-do list. But surprisingly enough, we only have 4 physicals. I love seeing my physical TBR on my bookshelf because I find it really motivating to read. So this is our physical TBR for the month. I honestly was expecting more to be here, but once I buy those 3 other books, this will fill out a bit. And I can't complain about having to go to Barnes. I'm sure I'll probably come home with more than the 3 books that I need to get. Also, I feel like the lighting here is really good to show you my shirt. I got this off of Etsy because ACOTAR is now my entire life. How cute is this Velaris shirt? I feel like it's totally giving 70s vibes and I absolutely love it. So I will list the shop that I got this off of down below in case you're interested. Thank you guys so much for coming along on this TBR journey. I'm excited to see where the month takes us. Over Memorial Day weekend, Hunter and I did a ton of furniture shopping. So I think we're gonna do a weekly vlog coming up where we get all of that furniture in and we can finalize some more of our home. And then I think I have to do a reading vlog where I read A Court of Silver Flames. Since I did a reading vlog on ACOTAR, I want us to see the transition from book 1 to book 5 because I'm officially bought in. I am on the Sarah J Maas train. But that is where I will love you and leave you. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.